What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Carpool Gaming's The PlayStation Drive. I'm your host, Matt, and I'm in the driver's seat for this week's adventure, which is episode 111. I'm joined, as always, by the Supreme Corn of Canada himself, Sir Court Lalonde. What's up, Court?
Did you say corn?
I don't know.
I you know what?
I don't know.
I'm 100% sure you just called me corn.
I may have called you corn. Things happened.
All right.
It is what it is.
I'm good. I'm good. You know, I guess I'm very salty and buttery, but maybe I should make some corn this Saturday. Dude, I'm gonna go pick up some corn. So we're gonna have corn on the cob. Yeah, that's happening.
We're gonna have corn on the cob. That's awesome. I'm happy to be back, dude. Took a bit of time off. Obviously, we'll chat all about that in a little bit because I've been playing.
Yeah, look at your background.
Look at my background, respect everything, got my stuff, got some new stuff going on here, but it is nice to be back. I missed you, my friend. I missed hanging with you. You and Seth did a great job last week, caught up on the episode, and I'm very, very proud of you guys. It was a great show, so don't worry about it. Yeah, I know. But on this week's show, we're going to be talking about Call of Duty. Oh, the beaver shirt.
It's real.
It's real.
It's real.
Order mine. I keep forgetting.
It's real.
Which, by the way, Court, if I was to order it, I think there's like a deadline I need to order it by.
Yes. So we only had them up for a month. I don't know the deadline, to be totally honest. I'd have to get you the date, but you go to carpool.com and you can get it. I know I'm in the majority here, but I like the fit of the new shirts. I had a hard issue with the stuff from our last store because it was way too tight on my arms. And it didn't fit right. It's like, those True Fit commercials, like you see them all the time on Instagram.
Yeah.
I am not going to lie. I ordered some last week, so I'm going to see how those fit. Dude, I can't take it anymore. I had to
let me know. My buddy bought them too, and he's surprisingly happy with them.
Well, that's the thing. And I'm finding this. Even I put it on, and my wife was like, that shirt fits nicely. I'm like, I know. It fits nice. It doesn't fit. A lot of the premium t-shirts, they call them, from all these other places, they all fit too tight. Maybe I'm too I guess what my grandma used to call I'm too husky.
You're too ripped, bro.
No, but this one fits more comfortable. I don't know what it is. I don't feel like I'm like hugging it all the time and that I'm wearing like Under Armour, but it's nice.
There you go.
And you know what? It's the mascot of the PlayStation Drive.
It is. It is. So go check out
Designed by Matt.
Designed by me, yeah, somehow. Never thought I'd add t-shirt designer to my resume, but here we are. So go check out carpoolgaming.com to get yours. And of course, we also have a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, which we're going to do right now in our little cleaning of the garage, because it's been dusty, it's been dirty. The Xbox Drive is celebrating episode 300 in 2 days. If you're watching this live or you're listening to this, it'll be 24 hours after you listen to this, after this hits podcast services. So they're doing a 300-minute episode with a ton of giveaways. If you buy a shirt that is celebrating it, you're also going to get a bonus entry to win a awesome Xbox Drive 300 themed Elite controller.
Yes, you also have to review. Or you can either review them on Spotify or on Apple iTunes and respond to the tweet, or buy the t-shirt and you're automatically entered into a chance to win a custom Carpool Gaming Xbox Drive Elite Series 2.
So make sure you go do that if you want a cool controller to keep you company while you game. And of course, if you're listening to us live on youtube.com/carpoolgaming, please like the stream, subscribe, hit us with a comment, ring that bell so when stuff happens, you know about it, because Court and I have so much planned for the next few months focused on Spider-Man 2, and you won't want to miss any of it. If you're listening to us on your podcast network of choice, please hit us with that review, leave those 5 stars, make sure you follow and subscribe. We're going to have more giveaways coming soon, and I'm sure you want to be in the loop. And of course, if you have extra bucks to toss our way to tip your drivers, head to patreon.com/carpoolgaming. Put in the bucks, out comes a cornucopia of content for you to consume. So thank you all. We appreciate you all very, very much. But without further ado, Court.
Hold on, that's just way better. So I'm sure you listened to my intro from last week, the garbage truck on fire. You just like destroyed it. Like my intro was just like, I was just tripping over my words, and Seth's just looking at me like with just like, I can't help you, buddy. Like dude, I can't. It's funny. I'm on this show with you week after week. I can never remember that. Like never.
It's just giant word vomit, dude. And I just say it quickly, and it helps me get through it. This is what I do. But Court, without further ado, I've been missing you the last couple of weeks. I know, it's not like we haven't been talking like pretty much every day, but I need to know, Court, because one thing that we haven't really talked about, surprisingly enough, is what you've been playing. So what's been on your playlist lately?
Well, no spoiler alert to anybody that's listening to the Pants Patreon podcast. I haven't been playing much. I played Exoprimal though.
Okay.
So I did try out Exoprimal on Xbox Game Pass. Because because it's not $80 there. It's kind of a fun game, but I'm still having I've been swimming a lot in my pool, and for some reason I'm getting a lot of like, I'm just old. Like, let's just be honest here. I'm old, I'm falling apart, and my shoulders have been hurting, and for some reason my back started hurting. So now when I sit in a chair for long periods of time, I'm just in pain. And so I stopped playing video games for that. And then I started watching more TV, and I was like, okay, I decided to, after I couldn't get back into Final Fantasy 16, which I did like that game. I just couldn't get back into it after dropping it.
You're so close to the end, aren't you? Aren't you like 30 hours in? Like you're like right there.
I know. I'm gonna finish it. I promise. Okay. I'm gonna finish it. Okay. Mind you, learning that the final boss battle is like a half an hour is kind of annoying.
Dude, but it's awesome.
Nope, that's awesome. Not a thing to say.
It is awesome. It is awesome.
But I'm gonna get back into it. But I'm having, honestly, Drellesh, he's not wrong. He's old man court. I am finding that I just needed to $300 prize for episode 300.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, I forgot. If you are watching live on episode 300, they will be giving away 300 games, I believe, on Xbox ID. Yes. Anyway, to get into my story. Sorry, he's right. I just kind of like a mind cleanse almost. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to stop playing games for a bit. I've stopped the Division. I've stopped everything. And then I'm going to slowly get back into games and see what I think I might jump into Destiny 2. I haven't decided. It's either going to be Psychonauts, because I've never finished the first one, or Destiny 2. I just need to just step away from games. It'll be 2 weeks on Friday. And then I'm going to, besides playing, 20 minutes of Exoprimal, I'm going to be playing a game this weekend. I can't say what it is yet, but I'm going to be streaming a game on Carpool Gaming Twitch, and you're going to be able to watch me. I'm going to be on Friday, and then I'm going to be a couple hours on Sunday as well.
Hatoful Boyfriend?
I don't know what that means.
The pigeon dating simulator?
No, it is not. It is. All I can say is it is a game that is not out yet.
Ooh,
but I will be streaming it this weekend.
Tantalizing. Hatoful Boyfriend 2. No, dude, I feel you. Sometimes you just get into a bit like of a gaming funk. Nothing really clicks, nothing really resonates. So I feel you. Take your cleanse, do your Jenny McCarthy or whatever her name was, video game diet cleanse, and when you feel ready, I'm sure you'll be back swinging, complaining about your elbow again very, very soon.
No, I've got my arm feels phenomenal for like the first time in a long time, and I've got an hour massage booked on Wednesday. I'm excited.
I'm excited for you. I need to book a massage. I just like massages. I like them very much.
On Wednesday, I'm getting a massage, and I'm getting a reflexology, which is like they do the feet.
Yeah, you are,
buddy.
They test your reflexes.
Oh, I'm gonna be pampered.
You're gonna be pampered, boy. I'm excited for you. You deserve it, Court. You deserve it. What is this Carpool massage train that I guess I missed out on here? I need to hop on and get myself a massage.
You're honestly, when you get Sean, he beats his body up by running, so I totally get why he needs a massage. Like, I don't know how this guy doesn't get one every day. If I did the amount of running he did, I'd just be walking into a sauna, slash into a hot tub, and then going to the personal masseuse.
Does he know that Super Mario Run is a game and not something that he has to actively do? But
honestly, could somebody in the community do a Super Mario Run or a Mario game and put Sean's head on top of Mario running across the screen? Sean, honestly, if you come for Fan Expo, let's get couple massages. There's a great one downtown. I know a great place.
Do you know, is there a place that we can get throuple massages?
Yeah, actually, there's a spa downtown that is one of my favorites, man.
There you go. Done deal. Welcome to the Massage Cast. This is where we talk all things massage all the time. As for myself, I've been a bit busy. I finished Final Fantasy 16. Really, really liked it. I had a blast with the combat. I loved the long, drawn-out, ridiculous ending boss fight. It felt epic and wild and a lot of fun. I will say that I do feel that like the icon battles kind of peak around half to 3/4 of the way through, and there's a couple that are towards that back end that are super cool. But there's one, my favorite one. Was a little bit earlier in the game.
Fire and Ice?
No.
I like that one.
No, I like that one too. But my favorite was the Titan. I'll just say that.
Yeah. So I've done all those, right?
Yeah,
so,
I know. That's what I mean.
I'm so close to the end of this game.
You're so close to the end of this game. As for the other stuff, so I finished that. I absolutely loved it. I'm back on the Cold Steel 4 grind. Huge shout out and thank you to NIS America. They hooked me up with the review code for Trails into Reverie, but I cannot play that until I finish Cold Steel 4 because Reverie is like the end game, the Infinity War to everything that's come before it. So
You're
I need
talking about things I have no clue.
Yeah, it's like crepe skin.
You didn't even get the all for one reference today. Like, you stop.
Like My Hero Academia?
No,
Anyways, so I'm on the Cold Steel 4 grind, really loving it. The way that it's already started to pull things together, and like just the culmination of what's been over a decade worth of games. Like I'm loving it so far. I cannot wait to get into Reverie, so I'll have more thoughts about that soon. I actually won a contest, Court. I never win contests.
What?
Yeah, I know, right? Thanks to our friends at Console Creatures, they hooked me up with the code for Crash Team Rumble.
Yes, I saw that. I saw that. I just entered a contest myself, and I'm hoping the movie podcast, let me win so I can take my daughter.
Dude, I entered that contest too. But
but my daughter wants to see Ninja Turtles, Matt. So you can just give it to me.
But if I win, then I'll just take your daughter for Ninja Turtles, and she'll meet Uncle Matt.
How it works. She's 7. It'll be awkward.
Uncle Matt. Oh, I've worked with kids a lot. I know how to handle children. I am a giant child. Don't worry about it. She'll be the more responsible one out of the two of us. Don't worry about it. But then, so I played a bunch of that, and it's actually surprisingly fun. For a game I had no hype for, but again, as I saw the reviews, and I was like, you know what, this does look kind of interesting. It's a lot of fun. I have to say, I've tried to play a bunch of the different classes because there's like different ways that you're supposed to do. Because it's a 4v4, online game. And I love just being the dude running around, grabbing all the Wumpa fruit and coming in to deposit it. I like to be the scorer. Tried to play the other ones, was not a fan, but surprisingly enjoying it. And then I think that's all that I've been playing.
I think Kevin Ainsworth is playing that a lot too.
I think so. Yeah. But really, it's surprisingly fun. Really enjoying it. But without further,
that's an Xbox property now. So out.
But nice transition.
I just segued everything there for you.
You just segued everything there for me as I pull this up because Sony has agreed to a 10-year Call of Duty with Microsoft. The bitter battle over Call of Duty on PlayStation is over as Sony signs a Microsoft deal. This is coming from Tom Warren over at The Verge because Sony has agreed to a 10-year deal for Call of Duty with Microsoft to keep the franchise on PlayStation after the proposed Activision Blizzard acquisition. Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer says Sony and Microsoft have agreed to a quote-unquote binding agreement to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. This ends a bitter battle between the companies that has been waged both privately and publicly over the past year after Microsoft announced its proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard in January 2022. So, Court, it seems that we're ending this ridiculous journey of all these stories. Call of Duty staying on PlayStation for, we don't know how long, but it seems for quite a while. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Tell me your thoughts about the deal overall as well, because this is what we're going to talk about here.
There's emails that have leaked, and I guess they wouldn't leak. They were all in the court filings. Originally, the deal that was offered was they were to get all Activision Blizzard games in perpetuity, new, old IP, still for the next 10 years. Because Jim Ryan, and honestly, at this point, I don't know what he was thinking, and this is a big L, I would say, on Jim Ryan's part. What he thought that this wasn't going to happen. Like, I'm very confused about this whole thing because there's so many analysts and financial people that are not part of, let's say, the video game industry. They all thought this deal was going to go through from the very beginning. We've had some ups and downs with this whole thing, but if the analysts that didn't know much about video games, they kept thinking the deal was going to go through. I kind of tend to believe the people and the business insiders, moreover, the people on Twitter and the gaming insiders. But Jim Ryan fighting to the tooth and death on this one, and now only getting Call of Duty in the end of it, I think it's a big L. Yes, it is a huge. I know Drellesh posted something in our Discord about it's like 23%. Like, it's a huge percentage of revenue. It's like 20-something% revenue for the year or something like that for Sony just from Call of Duty, which is huge. So it's great that they got Call of Duty, but I do think not getting future games of, say they make another Spiral, say they make, you like Crash Team Rumble, like those games, those are not going to, well, we can't say not.
We don't know yet, but
based on the deal that they just signed and the deal that they had in front of them, cash on, that's very good. You're not going to get those games possibly on PlayStation now, and there's only one person to blame, and that's Jim Ryan. He kind of postured himself this way that this wasn't going to go through, and I think he bet on himself and failed.
I genuinely don't think he really truly cared at the end of the day. From those emails that we were seeing, it seems more that he was like, yeah, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We're going to be fine either way. Like, to me, I think the only part that he really did care about was Call of Duty. Like, everything that we've seen from Jim Ryan over the course of the last number of years was PlayStation first party is the best. Don't worry about anything else. We know what we're doing here. They're investing heavily into live service. Call of Duty, I think, was the only thing that they truly cared about. Elder Scrolls is going to come out like 5 years from now. And then
we weren't getting that anyways.
Exactly. But like, that's going to come out in perpetuity over the next 20 years anyway, on all of your fridge toasters and, whatever smart caskets that are going to follow. The thing is, it's like, I think the only thing that he was really, focusing on was Call of Duty, and I don't think he truly cares about the rest of it.
Yeah, but I think that's the problem.
I agree.
Not caring about it because he's only caring about the dollar, which I get, and it's not, but I think this is a bad one for gamers because the old PlayStation, they used to care about all these things. Like, I think Sean was mentioning it on the Xbox Drive and how cool it is that Xbox just does like custom controllers and does all these awesome things. And PlayStation used to do things like that. And like, we complain all the time of like, how are we not getting custom faceplates? Like, just how is this not happening? And them only caring about Call of Duty on this because of the revenue generator, and us as gamers that play on this console, and Crash being technically an icon of PlayStation, and it might not be coming to the console ever again. Like, I think that's a big L.
I do think it's an L. I think, like, listen, exclusivity is interesting in a lot of ways. Yes, it breeds more competition, but it sucks when something that you had is taken away. There's no way around that. Do I think that the gaming industry will be better for it as a whole 5-10 years down the line? We're going to find out, because historically we've seen PlayStation be fun, be cool, do a bunch of good stuff when they're on their back foot, right? We saw them. PlayStation 2 had a ton of cool stuff. PlayStation 3 hit and they were egotistical. They were full of themselves and they got slapped for it with the pricing and everything else. They started to gain their headway. PS4 was, again, them starting to, the PS4 generation really felt a little bit more, well, the PS3 and Xbox 360 generation was a battle, right? PS4, they started to get a bit of headway because Xbox stumbled out of the gate. And now the PS5 generation, they're out to the races. They know they're in, in terms of between the two of them, with Nintendo doing whatever Nintendo does, they know they're ahead. They have no reason to go above and beyond because they're winning. So maybe this deal and maybe all of this happening will position Xbox in a way that they can make a bid for the top spot again over the course of the next decade. And maybe we will see PlayStation come back to that a little bit more over the course of the next little while, because they're going to have to. I mean, PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium were a direct result because of Game Pass.
Considering Game Pass now is a direct result of PlayStation Plus and Premium, but we'll get into that because that's kind of hilarious. But I hope so, because I also look at the pattern that's always happened with whoever's running PlayStation. Jim Ryan's doing it now, but it's almost his time to go. We're going to be talking about, PlayStation 5 Slim that's rumored / the snitch kind of unrumored it. It's definitely happening type thing. And we have all these things happening. And usually when this happens and they start going into the next generation of the previous, usually that person goes. So maybe it's time to bring a new voice in, because I really like the Shuhei Yoshida and that voice.
Big agreed. Yeah.
It was so much fun. You had the PlayStation Experience or whatever it was called. I can't remember now. That was in Las Vegas and stuff, and everybody would fun PlayStation again. And Xbox is doing that fun thing until, honestly, their press release this morning about the new Game Pass plan was just like, wow, all right, we're just gonna, do these things. Yeah, bring back Kevin Butler, honestly.
So that's what I mean. So I feel like for PlayStation to get creative and fun again, it's going to take them slipping. And again, their whole thing for the last number of years was their first parties reign, and they have, and they still do. Will that continue to be the case as Xbox starts to acquire more and more? That's the big question that we're going to see what happens next. Drellesh actually asked a question regarding this entire thing, so I'm going to bring it up right now.
Questions.
Questions. Greetings, gents. Welcome back, Matt. Hey, buddy. Hope you had some relaxing moments during your short time off. Court and Seth did a brilliant job while you were away. Questions for the show. Following the Microsoft Activision verdict, has PlayStation quote-unquote lost face during this process in your opinion? If so, how might it hurt them in the future? So there's part one. I genuinely don't think they care. I
agree with you.
I think to us, the Sony ponies and all the ilk have been watching this.
We're beavers, Matt.
We're the beavers. Yeah, the beavers. I don't know if it's really going to impact us that much until we actually see this start to fall out. To the general gaming audience, nobody knows.
Yeah, it's a big up in the air. And for me, I play on both consoles. I'm not a big Call of Duty guy. I just like the campaign. I don't really play the multiplayer that much. So now that it's going to be on Game Pass, I'll hop in, finish my 7-hour campaign, and eventually be on Game Pass. I'll just hop in, play my 7-hour campaign, and walk away from it. I look at the Activision Blizzard games. Unfortunately, they don't speak to me. Like, if this was Ubisoft being bought by Microsoft and I'm a person who plays on PlayStation, I'd be heartbroken right now. I play a lot of those games. I probably play 80% of those games. So that would be more me. But to some people that play video games, yes, this is going to bother them. Does Sony save face until they start losing money? No.
And again, like, I feel like the only people that are taking this and using it as a victory lap are the console warriors anyway. So
100%.
it is what it is. Now that the verdicts have fallen, Drellesh continues, what should the long game of PlayStation be moving forward? Have certain aspects become more urgent or have new priorities risen after the verdict? Must their philosophy change in any way, in particular when it comes to the following? And we'll address these as we go. Cloud-based gaming. What changes for Sony? Could we, God forbid, see a Microsoft Game Pass app eventually on the PlayStation ecosystem within the next 10 years? Or is that totally unthinkable? In my opinion, never. Not a chance. They'd have to be beaten into the ground over and over again for them to even consider this. And then they would take it and be like, well, we're letting Xbox onto our ecosystem.
I think the only other partnership, I think 100% this going through spells PlayStation for years has been buying studios, not publishers, but they've been buying studios. Xbox hasn't always done that. They've always tried to, like, here's Halo, here's Gears, here's Halo, here's Gears, here's Forza. They just kept throwing back the same thing. And one hasn't been good since number 3. It's just unfortunate, but that's what they kept doing. Now they're buying publishers and they have all these studios to start churning out games. So I do think that we're going to have a better competition. I hope, as someone that loved Halo back in the day, please give the Activision, please let them take Halo, Treyarch or Sledgehammer, let them have Halo, let them fix that game. But I think it's going to breed more competition. But I also believe that this is going to be, and it's not going to be right away. A lot of people were like already online saying, oh, this so-and-so's going to buy this, so-and-so's going to buy this. But I do think in the next 10 years, you're going to see them, both of them, just start gobbling up all these studios. And it's just going to eventually just be, this person's got this and this person's not this. And Microsoft being so big, they have the dump truck of money and they can continue with it. I wouldn't be surprised in the next 10 years that Apple and Sony have some sort of partnership. And the reason I say this is because, as someone that has a lot of Apple products, I've noticed something over the last year and a half going into Apple stores. The only other major manufacturer they seem to have a lot of product of is Sony.
Interesting.
There is something going on between, if you buy an Apple TV, even in the commercials, they show the DualSense. If you go into a store right now, the controller that they use for Apple Arcade is DualSense. Their commercial for the Apple Arcade, when they show the person playing on a controller, it's a DualSense. There is a lot of synergies going on between Apple and PlayStation. Apple has a ton of money. Apple could be the one that buys Sony, for God's sakes.
Yeah. I think Apple, I think that's a really interesting piece of insight, because then Apple is, there's been talk about them getting into gaming, and I think, why would they waste the time and the money?
There's your cloud. Like, there's all that, like putting that all into a thing. PlayStation started cloud first, but Microsoft has done a better job with it.
Exactly. And I don't think, like, a lot of the things that they know that they needed, the cloud gaming, they're trying to get into. We see they're already talking about boosting premium in that way. They know they need shooters. They've been working on that. So in terms of that kind of side, I don't really see them doing much different, but they're just going to double down on what they need to do more, because I think they will start to prepare for an eventuality where Call of Duty isn't that massive to them.
Well, I was watching CBC, and they had somebody who's not in the gaming sphere, and they're an investment firm, and they said, by doing their analysis, the only way that Sony could 1-for-1 punch this is that they bought EA, because they looked at the staple of the games and what they would earn, that they would become theirs. So, like, all the sports games, and then you're really hurting Sony, because I mean, Xbox is one of their bigger things for their money is FIFA, which is now called soccer or whatever it is, but now FIFA is not even going to have their own game, so EA is going to win this one. But their bigger games are the sports games on the Xbox, so they get a lot of revenue from that. Plus, you have Battlefield, which has just been dormant and just terrible after terrible. Maybe Sony can actually do something because it's a shooter. But if you're comparing apples, I'm not saying they're buying EA, but if you're really looking at something that's comparable to what just happened with Microsoft. It's Sony buying EA.
Yep. Josh continues, what any changes in their PS Plus offering? Where's Crunchyroll? PS Plus Premium remains lackluster in my opinion. We've talked about this at length. Like, I don't know why Crunchyroll isn't rolled into this. It makes like too much sense. It's like the anime Netflix. They already have partnerships with them and stuff. So it's like, why not roll that into the
because
service?
Everybody keeps buying the other one.
100%.
And if you look, they're not changing anything because Microsoft just changed to be the exact same as them.
Yeah, they've added the core now.
And the core is absolutely pointless. Like, they have done the same thing that PlayStation did. They put in all these tiers and made one that has a very good price point. But if you're a gamer, you're like, why would I buy this? So it makes you want to buy the ultimate tier. It's smart, 100% smart.
He continues on by saying the development of PS6. Sony already mentioned that they will put a limit on sharing with Activision moving forward. What else might be in the pipeline? Again, I don't think they're gonna I think they've been planning for this. This has been talked about for years on end. I can't see them doing too much different. Does this mean that we're going to get everything hit day and date at the same time comparatively with Xbox now? That's the biggest question. Is there going to be any feature disparity between them? I think those are the biggest questions that we have on that.
Cold dead hands until they put day and date. Like, cold dead hands. Yep. But now that we know how much it costs to make Horizon and stuff, $200 million, not a chance in the world are they day and dating these games.
No, never. And again, like, premium, we all know that premium needs more. And like, they're starting to talk about the streaming stuff. We'll see.
Well, if you look, they've already gone away from what they said. Originally, the certain tiers would only have certain types of games, and now they're throwing PS5 games in this tier, and like, they're already doing it. Like, come on now. Like, we all know that Spider-Man Remastered is coming to PlayStation Plus in October. If no one else sees this coming, I don't know what to tell anybody. We're going to get Spider-Man 2. Whoop, remasters now in PlayStation Plus. Look at this thing we already took away from you, and we're giving it back, and we're acting like we did something awesome.
Mm-hmm. Josh has a couple more points here. Further acquisitions, probably. I think.
Yeah, that's what I said. I don't. The Square Enix one, everybody keeps throwing that one. That doesn't even make sense to me. They don't need to do that. They already have the relationship. They're already doing the money thing. Sega's already made it public. Like, no one is buying them. Ubisoft. If Ubisoft has some great games, then everybody's going to start looking at them again. But I don't see the perfect one that is perfect for either Xbox or PlayStation right now, because they got a good stable right now, and it's just like, what are you gonna do? Like, look at Square. Square sold off some of like the Tomb Raiders and such, but if you're Sony and you already have exclusivity with Square, why do you need to buy them?
See, the thing that I think that Sony may continue to focus on is them buying studios that have talent that haven't made much yet. We've seen them, with Jade Raymond Studio. We see them with Fire Sprite. We've seen them buy studios that are early in development that look promising, basically betting on the fact that they will be good. I don't think they need to go after a lot of these big budget developers or publishers right now, because yes, Square makes a lot of sense. They have a long history together. There's a lot there that could happen. Sega would make a lot of sense. EA would. They can't afford EA. Even Ubisoft would make sense. But the thing is that like what we've seen from them is them buying smaller studios that have a ton of potential. So that they don't have Microsoft money. Sense to me. And then them continuing on to PC. Yeah, I feel like that we know that they're going to keep doing it. Like, they're going to keep doing the PC stuff.
We got Ratchet and Clank coming out next week. And
we could.
We'll talk about that later. How there's no SSD and it doesn't run. Yep. But it's Nexies who's making it, so it's probably going to be a good port. So let's be honest here. And we'll even probably talk about PC in another story that we're about to talk about.
We might talk about PC in another story that we're talking about. For example, The Last of Us composers, just a new release of Part 2 is coming. Gustavo Santaolalla is apparently getting a bigger role in the game, written by Ryan Lesson over on IGN. The Last of Us Part 2 might be getting a new enhanced release, according to the series composer Gustavo Santaolalla. During an interview with Blender, I keep butchering.
Yeah, just give it up. Just say Gustavo.
Santaolalla.
Just say Gustavo.
Gustavo teases cameo appearance in The Last of Us Part 2 will be expanded upon in quote-unquote new editions of the game. In the new editions, you can make me play certain themes, and well, I can't tell you anything else, he said. He had briefly appeared in game as Gustavo, a survivor of the cordyceps infection outbreak who resides in Jackson.
Yes, he's sitting in front of the building, and you can go up to him, you can't do anything, but now supposedly in the newer version, you can go up and request tunes, which is people are going to have fun with.
So what do you think this is, Cord? Is this
100% we are getting The Last of Us Part 2, and it's going to be not just a remake. It's going to be more. There's going to be more to it.
So hold on.
We will get it by the end of the year.
Are you saying remake? They're rebuilding it, or are you getting a remaster?
We're getting a remake
from the ground up.
We're getting a PS5. We can't. I don't think we're getting. If they're doing, I think it's going to be a director's cut, not a remaster, not a remake.
Yes,
I think it'll be a director's cut, but I think they're going to add to it. I think there's going to be more than just the game. I'm not saying factions. I'm not sure yet, but we talked about this before. How Spider-Man was the only game that we had, and everybody around the world kept saying, all the insiders, including the Snitch, all these people kept saying, "There's another game that you guys don't know about." I think there's this. That's this game. I think The Last of Us 2 will come out before the end of the year. I think we're getting a director's cut of this game, and I think there's going to be more to it. I think we're going to get possibly, a lost level, something more is happening with this game, and I 100% think now that we are getting some sort of state of play or showcase before the end of the year, and because this deal is over, PlayStation is going to show us because I think they held off because of the whole Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal, because how can they go to court and lie like they did and say, we got this and we're not as powerful without Call of Duty, and then go out and do a showcase where they knock everybody's socks off.
I think that's an interesting point, because that would be a good time for them to do it. And like we've already heard, like a lot of what we heard about
September, August.
Like for a lot of the hype that we heard going into the initial showcase was that it was going to blow us away. And while it was good, I don't think it was great by any stretch of the imagination. So, and we were missing first party as a whole, pretty much entirely. So for them to kind of come back out now, well, my biggest question is, what more do they do to it, right? Like in a world where this would have followed a Last of Us, maybe season 2 of the HBO show, where they've maybe built in a little bit more from the show into the game or something along those lines. I'm just really curious as to what we're going to see here. Obviously, like, Last of Us Part 2 already had fantastic accessibility options. Maybe they add to it there. Obviously, stuff like widescreen support, the PC the PC release, a bunch of that.
We're getting PC. I think we'll get a PC release. Like they'll announce the PC port and they'll start. I just hope it's not like the Last of Us 1 PC port.
Yeah. Exactly. So like my question is just what more can they do to it? Like that story seems pretty definitively.
I'm hoping it's the multiplayer, and that's how we get factions. I know, the Bungie didn't like it. My hope it's that. I don't think it's that. What can they do more to it? That is a great question. But I started going through the internet and started going through all the people with rumors and so on and so forth. And I go over the Reddit post, and like, this is where it all started about a year ago. People saying that The Last of Us 2 was being remade. So we already kind of like were being hinted at it that it was being remade. When they do director's cuts, they add more to it. So to be totally honest with you, I think whatever's going to be added to it might blow us away.
Let's bring in some of the community here, because we have some questions about this. Nagachaka asked, do we really need a Last of Us Part 2 remaster? While it is one of the greatest games of all time.
Says the guy that would line up and buy it on day and date.
He gets to that, and it's better than Part 1, correct, Nagachaka?
Nope.
It already runs at 60 frames per second at 1440p on the PS5. Unless it's coming with a story expansion or DLC, this just feels like a money grab by Sony for $69.99 or more. And yes, either way, I'll be buying it and playing it day one. Hashtag Sony Pony.
So it'll be 4K 60, and then I guess it would be 1440p 120 is my guess. That's just my guess on what we would get graphics wise, because we're never going to get those 4K 120s. Like it just doesn't exist, I guess. We'll just get to it. But I'm not sure. I think there's something we're just not seeing, because it's too quick to bring it out. I do believe it, but now that we know it's real, there has to be more to it. It's not just the game.
What I want to know, and like kind of what I'm theorizing, is that like I wonder if they're going to give us
like a prologue to the next one.
Exactly what I was about to say. An epilogue to Part 2 that starts to set up what a Part 3 may look like. Obviously, they're early days on Part 3, if they are at all. We have heard that they're working on it, that they're writing it. So like in my imagination, they could go that direction, possibly even as giving us another Left Behind like segment where we see the more history on a certain character.
Abby, like from when her dad, like we could get the Abby story from when her dad dies.
It could be. And that's what I mean. There are spots that they could hop into here, or even something as on what I know would make a lot of people very happy. Give us a Joel prologue to Part 1. Let us see what happens in those in between years. We had mentions of their crew on the HBO show.
When not even that, we now know what happened before. We just never got the game version of it.
So that's what I mean. There's questions here that could be answered in a way that like doesn't necessarily break what Last of Us Part 3 will be, but that would make people really happy. And I think at that point,
the show.
And at that point, we start to get into a territory where maybe this is a little bit more justified. Jaden Rose asks, "Hello, Court. Welcome back, Matt. Thanks. Question for the podcast. Last of Us Part 2 has already achieved critical acclaim and commercial success. Piggybacking off of Nagachaka's question, what do you think about a potential remake? How do you differentiate between remakes and remasters in gaming, and which do you prefer?" He has another question. They have another question, but we'll leave that in the back burner.
I am all for it when the game hasn't been out for a really long time.
Yeah.
If they're bringing this out, and I think it'll be a director's cut. Like when Ghost of Tsushima came out in director's cut, we got Iki Island. So there was something to come with it. And we didn't know that was coming. So I think you're onto something, Matt, of possibly that Joel story.
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation knows and Naughty Dog knows Joel's our favorite. A lot of people's favorite. Whatever. If as a dad, I would have done what he did with a heartbeat and not even thought twice.
Disagree, but
but giving us a Joel story, I think would be something.
I think here, like, so differentiating between remakes and remasters. Remakes is like your Last of Us Part 1, right? They rebuild it entirely from the ground up and they do something to it. Remasters, they just take the game, they up-res it, they essentially make it better on whatever current gen is. I don't think.
And director's cut is giving it better graphics, but giving us something else.
Exactly. Usually with the director's cut, there's something added onto it. Get Back Into the Game says if they were to add anything to the accessibility, I would recommend ASL, American Sign Language. That would be epic for this game. Great. That's
Marcus,
fantastic.
Did they have it in the last one?
I don't know. That's
he's watching. I'm wondering if there's Marcus, is there any accessibility options that were in the latest release of Last of Us Part 1 that weren't in Part 2?
Or any ones that you would like to see being added as a whole? Because I think here, for me, I prefer a remake each and every time if it makes sense. I think it really depends on the game. Ghost of Tsushima, I think, is a fantastic example of, basically bring it to PS5 in an upgraded edition while giving us an expansion on top of it that made it worthwhile. So
you played Death Stranding.
Yeah.
What was, besides me finding out the revelation that there's poop bombs, there's still no button to just take a hot steamy dump somewhere else in the world and you can take a pee? Well, that's all I'm saying. It's Death Stranding 2, so like number 2 is in the game title and it's Kojima. But is there a big difference between Death Stranding, the release that was on PS4, and the director's cut, or is it just graphics?
I'm double checking right now because I can't remember off the top of my head, but I do believe it was. Yeah, I think kind of the biggest stuff was the graphics, higher frame rate, photo mode, ultra-wide monitor support. So it was more of a graphical overhaul, bringing it to.
So I don't think that's fair enough.
Later gen, but again, that was from PS4 to PS5, right? You could upgrade to it for like that $10 or whatever it was.
I don't think it's so was Ghost of Tsushima, but that's it. But you still had to pay for Iki Island. But if you had, you could pay the director's cut thing.
Yeah,
I think this will be more in the lines of the Ghost. We're getting something else. It's not just graphics.
I hope so. And Jaden Rose also asked, if not Last of Us Part 2, which games would you like to see either remade or remastered? What do you think, Court?
Oh, it's Infamous. Like all day long in BioShock. Like just. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. From the ground up, do Infamous 1 and 2 again. Give me Cole all over again. And then somebody, please remaster BioShock 1.
Dude, I'm 100% with you at Infamous. We've talked about this so many times, but an Infamous remake, not just a remaster, I want a remade from the ground up, would be fantastic. That'd be super, super cool. And the other one that I've been asking for forever was Persona 3, and guess what? We're getting that. So I'm ridiculously stoked about that.
So Marcus did put in there that there was audio descriptions for the cutscenes. So
didn't see anything for ASL, but I'm more than happy to double check. I think that would be a really, really great ad. And yes, audio descriptions were there. And Jaden comments also, I would love a prequel story about the universe before Ellie. Give me a story about Joel and Tommy, Anna and Marlene, or Bill and Frank. To The Last of Us 3 doesn't have to be a continuation. Anna and Marlene would be awesome. That would essentially be our Uncharted Lost Legacy of The Last of Us.
Yeah, and see, that's what I think we're getting something. I think they're doing something.
That would be dope. That would be really, really cool.
Yeah.
And our last question about this before we move on, Brian Eck says, looking forward to hearing what you guys think about the rumor of The Last of Us Part 2. If true, awesome. Then I'll wait to play the remaster on PS5 when it releases. That's one game I haven't played, but would want to sooner rather than later. Is the PS5 upgrade for The Last of Us 2 good enough, or do you think Naughty Dog will add some nice, needed quality of life upgrades with a remastered version? So we've spoken about this. We're hoping for some quality of life. We're hoping for some graphics, some expanded accessibility options, and just give us some more story. That's what I want.
And if anything is going to show us what Naughty Dog can do, they're almost like the best at doing this. When someone's like, hey, here's a director's cut, you're like, ooh, okay. Everybody else try and be the best.
What I would love to see, but obviously with the reports of factions, could be dead. Could be something else.
I'll take Bungie's word for it if it's poo-poo doo-doo.
But what I would want to see though is that like if you're going to be buying this, maybe get you into a closed beta, and then when the full game comes out, you get the first battle pass for free or something. You know what I mean? Like add on something factions related if they're feeling confident that they can turn it around.
So pizza bet, Matt.
Pizza bet.
I'm saying we get it this year.
Factions.
No, Last of Us 2 directors. We're getting it this year.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm with you. That's not good. All right.
No, I agree.
I think we're getting it this year.
I think we're getting it this year. I think 100% the PC port, 100%.
Well, next year.
We'll see what happens with the remake, but I think the PC port for sure will hit this year. I think if they're bullish enough and if they're smart enough, they're going to drop both at the same time.
Well, so Nixie's just doing Ratchet and Clank. You think they've had time to work on? Because they can't have. Please don't tell me they're going to do the same company that did the last PC port that was so bad.
But that one just came out too, right? They wouldn't have enough time to turn things around either.
I think we get the PS5 version before we get the PC port.
I think we'll find out.
All right, pizza bet. There we go.
There's a pizza bet. Let's bring in another story here talking about the PC ports. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart will not require an SSD on PC. This is coming from Jordan Midler over at VGC. The game will run at 720p, 30 frames per second without an SSD. Although even the minimum specs recommend an SSD, the game will still be playable without one, despite previous suggestions from Insomniac that the game would not be able to run on systems without one. In a video posted on the PlayStation YouTube channel prior to Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart's PS5 release in 2021, Insomniac's creative director Markus Smith claimed the game's Rift traveling mechanic was impossible on previous systems. Well, now we know that it's coming. On July 26, 2023, the game will be available on Steam and Epic Game Store. Players who pre-purchase it will be able to get 2 in-game early items in their playthrough with the Pixelizer weapon and the Carbon X armor set. So, Court, I guess we didn't really need the SSD all along.
No, see, I disagree. So I feel that if we're only getting this game at 720p, 60 frames per second, we're not getting the game that you and I played. That's probably one of the best games on the PS5 still to play right now. Like if you haven't played Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, I suggest you go play it right away because that game is amazing. And if I don't believe, I'd have to double check. I don't know what I have. I don't know my PC specs, as you know. So I'll have to go double check. I know what my graphics card is. I wouldn't want to play it if I have to play it at 720p to get, and it's still not. I'm almost going to guarantee it's not as fluid as it was when we were playing on the PS5.
I'm inclined to agree. I also think that it's probably going to I think the loads in between, even when you're going through the rifts, will be a little bit longer. I'm curious to see what this is going to look like. I'm just quickly looking if we have confirmation that Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart will be on Steam Deck. That's exactly
I thought I already saw that. Also, by the way, I didn't know if I told you. It is now Last of Us Part 1 is now Steam Deck verified. It wasn't before.
I know. I saw that. So it seems that the Steam Deck will be capable of playing it. So if we, we'll talk about that.
Well, if it's 720p, 60 frames per second, sure, the Steam Deck can handle it.
I hope so, Court. I would love to play that game on the go once again. Let's hop into a couple more stories that we have left before we round out, because we got confirmation that the Access controller for the PS5 launches globally on December 6th. This is coming directly from the PlayStation blog. Isabel Tomatis speaks to this. For the past few years, we've been on a journey with accessibility organizations and experts to create a versatile controller kit that enables gamers with disabilities to play more comfortably and for longer periods, empowering more players to share in the joy of gaming. Today, I'm thrilled to announce that the Access controller for PS5 will be available globally on December 6th, with pre-orders kicking off Friday, July 21st. Available for a suggested price of $89.99 USD and $119.99 Canadian, the Access controller lets you customize your layout with different button and stick caps in various shapes and designs, operate the controller from any 360 orientation, and connect third-party accessibility accessories using its 4 industry-standard 3.5mm expansion ports. Court, we finally have confirmation when this is coming. And you know what, dude? I have to say, I have to give props to PlayStation for this one. More affordable than I was expecting them to roll it out to.
Yes, it's $10 cheaper than the Xbox controller. I had to make sure that I the Xbox adaptive controller in Canada right now is $129.99. This is
Fantastic.
$119, and I know Marcus was in our chat earlier talking about in our Discord story talking about this, saying like he's excited for it because of that price point. It's not, here's a controller for you and it's going to break the bank. And both Xbox has done a great job in accessibility. PlayStation's always done a great job of accessibility in their games. Now they're finally doing it for everybody, and so they can finally say this is a place to play, and this is great. And the controller actually looks beautiful.
It looks beautiful.
Really cool. I know people have joked saying I need it now because of my arm, but still, this is awesome.
But again, regardless, dude, if it were to help you, that's not a bad thing. There's no reason why this shouldn't be celebrated for. Like, this is fantastic. This is huge for people who are unable to play games, in the way that many of us do. I think this is a huge win at a very, I think, accessible price point as well. I think this is a huge win. And again, dude, if this were to help you play MLB The Show so that you wouldn't be in physical pain playing it, I think that's a massive win. I don't see any.
And I believe Marcus said he was going to buy it. So if he does, we'll have him back on when it 100%. Comes out, and he can tell us all about it.
100%. Yeah, we'll definitely be talking more about this, but we definitely want to be shouting it out. Pre-order start in just a few days, so if you want it, make sure you hop on and grab it when you can. It's a huge win. And our last major news story is talking about our little PlayStation Plus with the extra and premium categories outlined for July. We're getting It Takes Two, Sniper Elite 5, SnowRunner, World War Z, The Ascent, Undertale, SpongeBob SquarePants, Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, Melty Blood, Type Lumina, Dismantle, Circus Electric, Dynasty Warriors 9, Samurai Warriors 5, My Little Pony,
by the way, that was my daughter's first platinum on PlayStation. It is an easy plaque. Go out and get that. Go get that.
Go get that. Fast and Furious Spy Racers Rise of Shifter.
Another game from Outright, very easy platinum. So I'm just Drellesh, write these down. My Little Pony and Fast and Furious, very easy platinums.
There you go. Monster Jam, Steel Titans, and coming to premium is Gravity Crash, Portable, Twisted Metal, and Twisted Metal 2. So, and of course, Twisted Metal, the TV series, comes out on July 27th.
I don't care.
Court, what do you think about our extra premium for July?
They're getting way better. Ascent is Ascent was on Xbox Game Pass. I really liked it. Sniper Elite 5 is actually, I really enjoy that game. But once again, we're getting games that are coming that we already had in PlayStation Plus. But Bikini Bottom, we already had that. So if you already claimed it in your PlayStation Plus, and I believe Sniper Elite 5 was another one that we already had. I'm almost positive we already had that game, but it's still great that they're bringing more games to the service. Very interested. Did they show the list of what's leaving?
Not on this article.
That's one thing. Sony has been very good at telling us what's coming. They've been really bad at telling us what's leaving until the very last moment. It Takes Two. I've never played that game, but I heard you need to play it multiplayer. I would love to try it. I just need someone to play it with. I heard it's a great game.
So It Takes Two is a fantastic game. I think one of the most creative games that we've gotten in a number of years. It's like the gameplay itself is fantastic. The story is garbage doo-doo. It's one of the worst stories I think I've ever played.
Well, so was that guy's speech, right? So who cares?
Atrocious. But the gameplay saves that game entirely. It is entirely co-op. You can't not play it co-op.
Okay.
But I do think it's a game that you might be able to attempt to play with your daughter. It may be it might be the type of thing where you'll have to help her through certain sections because there's some of it is a little bit timing specific. Okay. But I do think it's a very cute, very colorful, very fun game. But I will warn you, there's a certain segment with a stuffed elephant that still gives me nightmares. It's unbelievably messed up. But the game is fantastic. I think overall this is a solid month. I don't think it's a particularly awesome month, nor is it a particularly bad one. Like you mentioned, Sniper Elite is a game that I've always been curious about.
I think it's more underrated than people don't realize. If you like that sort of combat when you're playing a game that you pick the sniper, you're not the close combat person. Sniper Elite is amazing. If you like, what's the Assassin's game? Agent 47. What's his name? Jesus. Adios game. Hitman. A lot like that.
There you go. The Ascent is a game I've always been curious about, so I might check that out. Undertale is incredible. Undertale is fantastic. I'm sure Ryan would be very happy about Melty Blood's inclusion. I think he was
there's a ton of Ryan games in there. Jesus.
Yeah. So I think this is an okay month. Again, premium, at least getting Twisted Metal 1 and 2, and obviously synergy with the show. I'd be curious to go back and check those out. But yeah, I think this is an overall, it's a good month. It's a good month. But of course, my dude, we have a couple questions left to round out the show. If you want your questions read on the show, join us in our free Discord. It's in the show notes where you can hop in and chat with us, or go to the Twitter post that goes live each and every week. With one of our beautiful faces, usually Courts, asking for questions, just like Steve Vigvari did, who says, "Hey, PlayStation Drive, long time, first time. Question for Court: Can you talk about the pecan pie policy, the PPP?" At your BBQ specifically, can you talk publicly about whether Bobby will be allowed on your property if he's not willing to abide by such policies?
Bobby is more than welcome on my property, but yes, I 100% out of pure spite will have either some pecan butter tarts or some candied pecans, some sort of pecan meal added to our barbecue that I'm going to do this weekend.
Exactly
100%.
Exactly that. And I don't know, I'm a little bit shook because Steve has come out as a pineapple on pizza lover.
Dude, that is the best video I've ever seen.
The lie detector has really shown.
I hope he brings that
colors.
can. Steve,
Dude,
if you're listening, bring that can.
Bring that can. And we have one last question. Rapidly Graying over on Twitter asks, "Hey guys, do you feel like Sony is taking a page from Nintendo with its drip feed of big classics onto PlayStation Plus Premium? An influx of bigger names would be what gets me wobbling or wanting that upgrade. Great potting as always. Thank you, Rapidly."
100%.
Yep. I think this is honestly a mix of them not being ready. I feel like a lot of the premium games that they're probably actively working on to make sure that they can get them running on the service, along with, they've seen it works with Nintendo. They've seen people sign up for that service regardless. Like, yes, it is great now. It wasn't when it first came out. And usually, it takes
Still
time.
better launch than Game Pass had.
Agreed. On Extra. On Premium,
it's a tier thing, but now they got them. So now we can tier compare. You know what's going to happen. Every YouTuber out in the world is going to be doing Xbox Game Pass tier system versus PlayStation Plus tier system.
Mm-hmm.
Those videos are coming.
So like what I would really like to see is like, I would like a couple times a year to get a bigger dump, especially like around the time where they're doing the showcases.
I really like big dumps too.
I love big dumps. They're just good for everybody.
Yeah, honestly, they make you feel better.
They would make you feel so much better. Like, I think it would be really cool to basically have a situation where, if they're doing a showcase, here are 15 new games that are coming to premium today. Like, it would be cool to have some sort of like little celebration like that if they're going to be continuing these strip feeds. But as we've spoken previously, PlayStation's in there, we're winning and we don't care era once again. So they're going to do whatever they're going to do. Court.
I will say to this, if someone hadn't got PlayStation Plus, the extra tier or anything before, if you jump in now, you're getting a lot of value.
Yep. 100%. There's a lot to love there. Again, I would still tell you to go towards Extra. See if you like that before you hop into Premium. Extra is the tier to go to right now. But Premium, we'll see what happens with time as they continue adding to it. Court, before we get into thanking our wonderful patrons, if people want to see and hear more from you, where could they do so?
You can find me on Twitter at Court Lalonde, or even on the threads, even though I'm not
Threads,
really on there. I'm not.
Yeah.
But anyway. I'm at Court Lalonde on Threads as well. And you can also find me on Carpool Gaming Twitter at Carpool Gaming, or you can find me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. on Three Dads and a Console. You'll also find me this Wednesday around 9 p.m. for the late shift on the Xbox Drive 300.
Yes, you can. I might be joining in on that Xbox Drive goodness as well. As for myself, you can find me over on Twitter at Matt_SilverSoul, on Threads at Matt Sawinski. Of course, we'll be here, each and every week with the PlayStation Drive. And anybody who is a patron from the lovely folks that I'm about to reach out to, if you're at the right tier, I'm up for pants this week. So if you have questions for me that are not specifically PlayStation related, head over to Patreon, hop in, drop those questions, and I will answer.
Or if they're PlayStation related, just throw them questions.
Whatever. Toss me questions for pants.
Throw them a freaking bone here.
I will let all of you into my pants this coming week. So get ready for that.
Sweaty.
I know, boy. But as for our wonderful patrons, of course, we appreciate and care about each and every one of you. We could not be doing this without you all. But of course, we want to shout out our ultimate producers, Robbie Bobby Miller, who you can find over at twitch.tv/Robbie Bobby Miller. Tony Baker, who you can find over at youtube.com/quest4pixels. Jonathan Brown, you can find his link tree at pme.jib, or of course, a lot of the music on Carpool Gaming that's coming from our buddy JB. Lee Navarro, our fearless leader of the Phoenix Overdrive Extra Life team at www.phoenixoverdrive.com, and Trucker Sloth, our platinum producers, Markus McCracken and RJ Kern, and of course our gold members, Adam K, Anna, Awesome Dave 1337, Bowsah, Cecily Carrozza, Dannohh, Drellesh, Emily O'Kelly, Fulish Fuji, Hoppel, John 32, Jonas Young, Jose Jimenez, Marcus O'Neill, ScheiGuy, Tim Aulph, and Tim Paullin. Thank you all so very, very much. We appreciate you all incredibly, and we'll be back next week. Peace.